Ramdev finally ended his fast today over the black money issue, which found its echoes in Parliament as well. The government hit back at the BJP today, insisting it's done much more than the NDA in trying to bring back black money to India. But lost in the din of the drama at the Ramleela is the real question. What is this issue really about, and why is it so hard to get this money back?
हम विजयी होकर के जा रहे हैं क्योंकि पूरा देश और सारी राजनीतिक पार्टियां भी एक साथ खड़ी कर दी है हमने इस मुद्दे पर।
Yoga preacher Ramdev claiming victory before television cameras, spelling out his next move. The government though wouldn't mind the yoga teacher's long-term political plans. Its immediate priority was not to have a rerun of last year. It wanted to ensure that Ramdev's Act 2 at Ramleela Maidan passed off peacefully.
कल 15 अगस्त के राष्ट्रीय पर्व की होने की वजह से सुरक्षा कारणों से ये बहुत जरूरी होगा कि आप लोग आज स्वामी जी के साथ ये स्टेडियम छोड़ दें.
Even in the face of mounting numbers and political support.
काला धन कहाँ मिला उनको और कितना उनके पास सरकार के पास आ गया है उसे बताना चाहिए.
और सरकार जवाब नहीं देती तो हम संसद का कामकाज नहीं चलने देंगे.
But in all the politics and the mudslinging, has the real issue of black money taken a back seat? Take for example the different estimates of how much money has been stashed away in tax havens. Originally the brainchild of BJP's L.K. Advani, who had made this his main focus in the last Lok Sabha polls, the amount was 25 lakh crores. For Ramdev, the figure was 400 lakh crores. But the government's initial estimates indicate only about 50,000 crores of black money.
Frankly, making such allegations really reduces the credibility of the movement.
The government on its part says it's committed to bring black money back to India, but can't be pressurized by anyone.
The number of bilaterals which have been signed by the government of India with so many other foreign countries. It's only with this purpose that all tax evasion should be brought to light.
Black money was an election issue for BJP leader L.K. Advani just ahead of the 2009 Lok Sabha elections. Even though the issue did not pay them electorally, it's perhaps natural for the party to associate themselves with Ramdev and his cause. But one could well pose a question. Has the BJP conceded the opposition space to Ramdev, or are they looking for a new ally? With camera person Suresh from Parliament House, this is Sandeep Phukan for NDTV.
So is there hypocrisy across the political spectrum when it comes to the issue of black money? Is there lip service by all political parties on the issue? Do tell us what you think. Joining us in this part of the program is Sunil Jain, the opinions editor of the Financial Express. Let me take the first question though to Mr. Harish Salve, because Mr. Salve, you touched on this in the last segment where you talked about these sort of figures that are bandied about when it comes to the issue of black money. You know, there are all kinds of allegations and counter allegations in this debate and a lot of shrillness. And like we said in the story, you have one figure that L.K. Advani talks about, 25 lakh crore. Ramdev has said 400 lakh crores. The government has another estimate. You know, people don't understand what are these numbers and you know, how do we know what's accurate?
It's very simple. If you want to find out the truth, why do we generate monies which can be stashed overseas? Either over invoicing imports or under invoicing exports. If you take the total private sector imports and exports of India, you must understand bulk of your import bill is oil and armaments, which is imported by the government. So there is no question of over invoicing of imports. As far as exports are concerned, they come from the private sector. How much can you salt away? 3%, 5%, 7%? If somebody talks of 8 or 10 trillion dollars of lying overseas, can you imagine to generate 8 trillion dollars, the economic activity would be 80 trillion, it will be few times India's GDP. So, you know, when you talk about this, it is it is trivializing the real issue. Let me tell you, according to me, the two most troublesome areas of black money are black money being used by the mob for financing elections, real estate, drug trade. Today, elections are fought largely out of cash. And where does that money come from? Again, partly from real estate. Now, this is what is distorting the Indian political system. Each election costs you 2 crores, 3 crores, 5 crores. A very large part of that is unaccounted. And I remember when the tax rate was 80 or 90%, Mr. Chavan was waxing eloquent, the then finance minister, was waxing eloquent in Bombay on how business people should eschew earning black money. And a very senior industrialist got up and told him, "Sir, you promise us, you will not come to ask us for cash when elections come. We promise you we will try to stop generating black money." And there was silence. So you
you're
see,
saying
this
the whole
is the
debate
real
has got
problem of
distorted.
black money.
You're saying
Of course it has got distorted. This money overseas is the least important part of black money. The real black money is in the country.
Okay, let me take that to Chandan Mitra to respond to that, because, you know, Mr. Mitra, it's interesting. I mean, the former chairman of the CBDT also gave a report earlier this year where he actually took a dig at both the BJP and the Congress, saying that the BJP and the Congress claim that they have incomes of just 500 and 200 crores, but that isn't even a fraction of their expenses because they spend about 10,000 to 15,000 crores respectively. So is there a hypocrisy in this debate? You're not talking about election reforms, you're not talking about black money in elections and what's happening here at home, but everyone's dying to bring back the black money from the Swiss banks.
I would urge that let us not confuse the issues. These are all, in my opinion, with due respect to Mr. Harish Salve, that the electoral reforms are very much a part of the overall reform process. But the fact is that a very significant amount of money has been shipped out of this country and stashed away in tax havens, of which Switzerland may be the most prominent and well known. But there are many other tax havens that are operating. There is a whole Mauritius route which has been a matter of concern. So it cannot be denied that a phenomenal amount of money, a humongous sum, is actually lying in unnumbered foreign bank accounts. The question is, what was the government doing all these years? If we don't have reliable estimates, who is responsible for it? And are we doing anything to get those reliable figures to begin with? I mean, the Congress today is waxing eloquent that they have passed various legislation and these various countries, double taxation avoidance
No, but then where did Mr. Advani's figure of 25 lakh crore come from? And where did Ramdev, who's your new best friend, his figure is 400 lakh crore. In one rally he said 20,000 lakh crore. So, I mean, is there some irresponsibility in banding about figures without,
I think you'll have to ask Ramdev this question. I cannot answer on his behalf. But as far as Mr. Advani is concerned, it is true. Global Transparency Global, Mr. Advani, the booklet you showed in his hand in the Lok Sabha debate, that is the booklet in which this amount has been mentioned. So, and Mr. Advani openly said it. He said, this is what I am quoting from, and this is a respected international organization, and they have estimated it. And the point is that the government has been continuously trying to poo-poo this and saying we don't know, there's only 50,000 crore, it is nothing. Now let's at least find out how much it is. And the law that is being proposed now is with prospective effect, not retrospective. Money that is already gone, how will we recover it? So government has made no effort. 17 names we are told, 17 names we are told have come, and these have been put in a sealed envelope and handed over to the Supreme Court. Why sealed envelope?
Okay, Mr. Salve has a rebuttal.
Whom you have found.
Mr. Salve wants to just rebut a point you made.
Let me clarify a few things. The prospective effect has to be because it says hereafter anybody who has a foreign asset or a foreign account must disclose it. Now you obviously can't make it retrospective. You can't say I will be guilty for committing an offence because in 2007 I did not disclose a US bank account or a British bank account or a Swiss account.
Then it has to be for the future. Money back.
But 1 minute, no, please, this is the whole problem. A person may have legitimate bank accounts. For the last 10 years, Reserve Bank permits Indians to have foreign accounts. All that has to be disclosed. A secret account where it has unaccounted for money, if it is detected by the government, you can, under the FEMA, insist the money be brought back. You can prosecute the person, you can penalize the person. You do not need a new law for that. That law is in place. This is an additional requirement that even if you have official accounts, you disclose them prospectively. This is the first wrong impression which is going around.
No wrong
second
impression.
thing.
Mr. Salve, you are one of our, one minute if I may. You are one of the finest legal minds in this country. No, I am only saying that provided you have the political will to go and unearth those
I have no question about it.
I'm sure
No question about it.
something can be done. But if the government doesn't
No
want to do
question
it, what
about
do you do?
But where was the BJP's
No,
political
you are
will? Before I come
you are
to
spot
Sunil
on.
Jain, where was the BJP's political will,
No,
Mr.
let me
Mukherjee?
just clarify one more thing.
Yeah.
Let me just clarify one more thing. Of the one account which has come into public domain, Mr. Hassan Ali's account, what I believe is that the money which was found there was not money which was taken out of India. He was acting as a money launderer for certain international groups. So we are mixing so many different things in finding out what we are talking about.
Okay, let me
and
come,
we need to
let me come to
compartmentalize
Mr.
all
Jain.
of them.
Mr. Jain, where do you stand on this? Do you think that the entire black money debate in this country has got trivialized, it's become a little frivolous, all kinds of figures, as we said, being talked about? We have this collective sense of outrage when we talk about black money in this country, but the Indian middle class doesn't want to look at what it does to contribute to that. If you want to buy a house in Delhi, it's going to be partly with black money.
You are absolutely right, Nidhi. But to look at what Harish and Chandan have been talking about, a few points we need to make. One is that if you're talking about the Mauritius route, which is what Chandan talked about, frankly the money is coming back to India. Anybody with black money would be very foolish to keep, whether it's 400 or 500 billion dollars or $8 trillion. You'd be very stupid to keep it in Swiss banks where you're getting no return. So the money is coming back to India. So it doesn't matter. Point number two is, if you look at the numbers that Mr. Advani is talking about, or the number that anybody else is talking about, the total the yearly kind of stashing away that people are talking about is about $20 billion, $30 billion there. That's about 1% of GDP. So if you just manage to raise the tax to GDP ratio, which is what the government is trying to do, that will get you that money back in a year. So I think we're just getting exercise for no rhyme or reason. Third, the point that we've got to look at when it comes to policy matters, and I'm surprised that Chandan never brought this up, being a BJP supporter, is that one of the biggest generators of black money today is the lack of auctions. When the CAG talked about the 2G auction, they were talking about a loss of 1.76 lakh crores. When the CAG was talking about the coal auctions, they were talking about 10 lakh crores of loss. Now obviously that's not the amount of money which the corrupt people gave the government or things like that. But a significant amount of money is made by people by getting natural resources for free. This is a big generator of, so if the government is just able to start auctioning natural resources and they increase the tax GDP ratio at the same time, which is what they're trying to do with the DTC or the VAT, you will take care of a large part of the problem.
So you think it's overblown? You think a lot of this is distorted and overblown? Completely. Krishna Prasad, what do you think? Why is it that in our psyche...
It's quite irrelevant. The money is back in the economy. That's what you need to worry about.
Okay, so why is it then in our psyche, the words black money trigger the kind of reactions than they do among ordinary people, that we just think that there's billions and billions of dollars of Indian money stashed away abroad? Is it an ill-informed debate? What's going on here?
Nidhi, I think this is not a new debate. I was just looking up the websites before coming in. I saw that sometime in 1936, the British tried to set up a committee to retrieve black money in 1936. So this is an issue which has been going on and on. I think what you're seeing now is a kind of hyperbole becoming the leitmotif of our discourse. It's always in some great expansive number. I was looking at numbers. It starts with $1.4 trillion in 2009. This is in the run-up to the May 2009 elections. It starts with $1.4 trillion, and the very day that number was bandied about, you had somebody from the Swiss Bankers Association saying that this number is a complete fabrication.
It's $2 billion.
And it comes down. Eventually the government comes out with a white paper and it says 9,295 crores. So it's 700 times less than what was initially, anticipated and estimated at. So I think there's a bit of hyperbole, but I think the point also is it captures people's attention. I think whichever election you look at, whether it was 1989, whether it was 2009, you need an issue which captures the attention of the people. And I think you are finding smart people within politics and outside of politics who find that this is a nice issue which captures the attention of people. But that said, you also have to admit, you also need to admit that this government has been, quite lackadaisical in the way it goes about things. Many other countries have done plenty of things in the last 4 years to retrieve their money, whether it's the United States, whether it's the European Union, and so on and so forth. They have done some moves, and this government and this
I
country
want to take up that point. I'll come to you,
that.
Mr. Mitra, and I want to ask Sunil Jain about this, because Sunil Jain, everybody gives the US example that if the Americans could do it, why can't we? But we're not America, and obviously we don't have the clout that the Americans have. If we did, we'd be a different country. Is that an excuse enough, or does this government actually lack the political will to do more, or are its hands genuinely tied? Sunil Jain.
Well, I think the point here is a very simple one. It's not so, we talk about America, and the assumption seems to be that, President Obama or Bush just called up the Swiss, dialed up the Swiss and said, I want the details of my black money back. And, for some reason, Manmohan Singh doesn't have the guts to call up the Swiss banks and say, I want my money back. It's not so simple. If you look at the first American case, which is when the Swiss banks actually gave details, the American taxman actually traced the trail of money and said, okay, there is this gentleman X, he's an American citizen, he put his money in that bank, from that bank it went here, and you guys have hidden this. The point is that has the Indian taxman, whether the taxman or the CBI or any investigating authority, has it ever tracked money in that diligent manner? So if you're not diligent about your money, I don't know how much money we've got to Swiss banks, but I don't see any Swiss banker coming and saying that this is the money that Sunil Jain holds in a Swiss bank, unless the taxman will say that this is the trail and it led to you.
Mr. Salve, I'll just come to you because Mr. Mitra has been wanting to speak.
The Americans or we have.
Yeah, Mr. Mitra, yes.
No.
Is there a lot of political hypocrisy on this? And I'm asking you this not just in the context of the BJP, because you've been asked so many times, when the NDA was in power, why wasn't this an issue for you then? It wasn't in your election manifesto or your vision document in the 2004 elections. Today you have Mulayam Singh Yadav and Mayawati saying bring black money back. It does surprise one.
Your program and many other programs, this point has been clarified over and over and over again. Now, US got proactive only after 9/11. By the time the Swiss laws were appropriately amended, and what Sunil, I'm thankful to him for giving this information about the American taxmen tracking these accounts. It was 2006 before anything could actually happen in this. And Germany got some of its hidden money back only in 2006. So NDA at that point of time did not have very much of an option, even if it wanted to do anything about it. But I want to take up the point which Krishna Prasad made, that this is something which tickles the imagination, people get fired up. Look, my point is simple. Can we deny that Indian money evaded by, taxes evaded by industrialists and various kind of middlemen, frontmen, etc., the fact is it is lying abroad. And therefore, any attempt to bring it back must be welcomed, and every effort must be made to bring it back. It is not, not only a question of black money in this country. I agree, there is a lot of black money and you can't really proceed today. 2/3 of your equivalent of the GDP is probably unaccounted for money, and this is a very worrying factor. But in the meantime, at least the money that is lying abroad should be brought back, and the government must make an effort. And Prime Minister Manmohan Singh assured Parliament in his first speech after winning the 2009 election in UPA 2, saying that this will be the government's top priority.
I'm asking you about political hypocrisy. No, I'm again asking you about political hypocrisy, because there's so much attention that's paid to the black money abroad. And I know we are saying these are two different issues, but if all of you just focused a little bit on the kind of black money you're spending in elections, and that's within the country, wouldn't that be more relevant?
No. Sure, brilliant. Let's start somewhere. Let's start. And you see, the atmosphere has to be
Why not election reform?
There's so much black money. Yes, election reforms. Mr. Advani has spoken so many times about it. BJP has been very consistent in saying the new system has to be evolved, partial state funding or full state funding. But in any case, let's discuss, let's evolve a consensus.
Okay.
It is true that no election can be fought honestly today.
Okay, Mr. Salve.
See, three things let me tell you. There is no question about it. Black money, wherever it is, we must find and we must get to. The trouble is no system in India works. Believe me, for the last 25, 30 years, I have seen American clients tremble if an investigation is launched by the Justice Department, by the Revenue Department. That's how effective their departments are. In India, everything is politicized, nothing works. That's a larger problem. But let me tell you about black money. What is more pressing? Today, a middle class person cannot buy a flat.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Because black money drives prices of real estate.
That's correct.
Is that more important? I think that is India's first priority. And because of which the wrong kind of people have got into the real estate trade. You have land grabbing. I mean, you have all these related problems of black money. The second thing you must know, when you talk of America, do you know what international experts say? Which is the safest island for a non-American to stash his black money? Manhattan Island. There is complete secrecy. If you manage to open accounts in Manhattan, the American government doesn't disclose the information to anybody else. They have two standards. They will hunt American money down wherever they can find it. But if you ask them for information of money stored in their country, complete black wall. So let's not talk about that. The government's understanding is remarkable. The former Prime Minister presents a white paper on black money, and he devotes the first part discussing Vodafone and the Mauritius Treaty. Now, Vodafone is the case where somebody acquired shares by a payment in check. The question is it taxable in India or is it not taxable in India? I mean, and on that you call that black money. That is why we are repeatedly hearing Mauritius is a route for black money. Mauritius is not a route for black money. Mauritius has been the biggest route for foreign direct investment.
That's the point Sunil Jain was
for
making.
Direct investment may be tax-free, but not be tax-free, but Mauritius makes it tax-free. That's not black money. Black money is unaccounted money.
Okay, last word, Mr. Prasad.
No, it's not just about buying flats and paying black money. Each time a housewife refuses to take a bill for a certain product because she can save some money, that's black money. So you can go all the way from that bottom up. But that said, I think this whole thing that the United States has cracked this whole thing about black money and therefore India should follow in its wake is quite misplaced. The United States has just got 300 out of some 17,000 or 18,000 accounts, so they're still groping in the dark. People like Baba Ramdev and company, what they've really done is they've tried to bring a very live issue onto the streets. But the fact is there's issues of confidentiality, there's issues about identity, whether the state has a right over such property, whether all the money abroad is black. I think these are questions that are quite opaque and complex, and that seems to be well hidden from the people.
Well, I
wish... Let's start inquiring at least.
Oh, absolutely, but this is the holy grail and you'll never catch it.
But the point is, Mr. Mitra, I think that the debate often in Parliament gets reduced to that tutu meme between the BJP and the Congress, and maybe it's good that the Congress didn't want to speak on this issue either tonight, because at least we had a much more reasoned discussion. Thank you to all of you for joining us tonight. Thank you to Sunil Jain, Harish Salve, Chandan Mitra and Krishna Prasad. And that's it on the program this evening. We'll see you all on Thursday night. Happy Independence Day to everyone. Goodbye.